Welcome back, everybody. I'm Mark Penson-Stadler with ZenithOwner.com. Now this is going to be Cruzer update video number 4, and I am filming this intro part after I've already filmed the rest of the video. You're going to notice the quality on the rest of the video is pretty bad, and I filmed the remainder of this in manual mode on my camera, and I did it because I want to learn how to use the settings and adjust the audio quality and things like that. But I didn't do a very good job because the audio quality is bad, the video quality is bad, and I think when I put it in manual mode, it also turned off the image stabilization, because when I move the camera on some of the other shots, it looks pretty shaky on my monitor. So I'm refilming this intro part to kind of explain why the rest of the video is pretty bad. So anyway, the reason I was making this video wasn't really to show you too much, because I don't have a whole lot more done since the last video, but I just wanted footage to actually work on my video editing program to keep learning how to use that. So like I said, it's not the best quality video, so I'm not going to worry about doing a fancy edit or anything like that. I'm just putting the clips together and that's it. So anyway, this is update number 4. Enjoy. All right, the first thing to show you, looking around my hangar, is you might notice something is missing. And that would be a real nice Piper Cherokee. I sold it a few days ago. One of the reasons why I sold it is because, you know, the Zenith is almost done. It's getting ready for paint, and this whole corner of the hangar, this front corner here, I want to make into a paint booth. And I can't do that if the Cherokee is sitting here. So that is sold, and I now have room to start getting some pieces painted on the Cruzer. Okay, so with the Cherokee out of the way, I've kind of rearranged the hangar a little bit, and I've moved the wings back over to my work area here because I want to get these finished up. I still have to complete the wing tips. I have to complete these ends, and I have to put in the fuel senders in the tanks and then rivet the top of the skins back on. After that, the wings will be complete. So let me first show you what I've been working on yesterday. I've been working on this L angle right here, and these only take a few minutes to make, but in the Zenith plans, they just want you to use a regular straight piece of L angle like this and put it on there. All right, so what I've been working on yesterday is this piece right here. The Zenith plans call for a regular L angle, a straight piece like this, to go from here to here. If you can notice, this one has a slight curve. And when you put the top skin on here, the skin is not straight. It has a curve going this way. So if you make this a straight L, it's not going to really conform with the skin. So I've used a pair of fluting pliers, and I've just put a slight curve onto this L angle, and now it perfectly matches the curve of the skin. Now, if you're new to home building and you don't know what fluting pliers are, I thought I'd just show you. These are a pair of fluting pliers, and if you can see, if that camera will focus, there's just a little tongue and groove kind of thing in here. And what it does is, if you have an L angle like this and you put it on here and squeeze, you can see it adds that little flute right there. You can also see it starts to curve the L angle. So if you add multiple flutes like this, you can curve this L angle however much you want. You can vary the curve by the amount of pressure you put on here. So if you just go very light, it's just a very small curve. And then if you need to perfect it, you hold it up to whatever you're trying to match, and you can go back and you can squeeze it a little bit more and just increase that curve until you get it exactly how you like it. So here's what it looks like with the skin on the root end here. It may be difficult to see, but there is a curve to that skin. So that L angle that's under there perfectly matches the curve of the skin. So with these L angles complete, I'm now working on fitting this piece onto the spar and top skin here. As you can see, this is the left wing. This piece was already done a year or 2 years ago when I was working on the wings, but I haven't made this piece yet for the right wing. So this is that piece. Now I've already made it, so I can't really show you how I made it, but you kind of have to cut both ends to fit. And then what I want to show you is this piece here. Notice this edge, if I can kind of hold it in the camera just right, but you see how it's twisted? As it comes down here, this starts to twist off like that. And you know, the way I did that is pretty simple. Just put it on a flat worktop and bend it over like that. But this curve now perfectly fits the skin on the wing. And I'll clamp it on and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, I now have that piece clamped to the skin, and you can see how when the skin comes down this way and curves and follows this root rib, it kind of twists. So this piece that I just showed you that I made is tucked up in here, it's clamped on, and it now, when I drill these holes and rivet the top, this is perfectly forming to the curve of this skin. Now to mount this piece onto the spar, the holes are already drilled on the spar. So you need to match drill this piece from behind, but once you take this skin off, how do you know where to position this? So all I did was I just took a Sharpie and I traced along the bottom of it and the sides, so that when I take this skin off, I can put this back there where it belongs, mark the hole from the back, and drill it. So that's actually what I'm going to do now. All right, so you can see I've removed this top skin. Here's the spar. You can see the holes in the spar. And maybe you can see on the screen my pen mark on here where I've traced the edge of this piece. So now what I do is, one other thing I wanted to show you too is I have a flute. This piece right here gets fluted so it matches a curve. There's a flute right at the top, so I've had to notch this out a little bit to fit around a flute. So when you put this piece on here, I will just align the piece back up to where I can just see that line on the bottom here. I'll hold it in place. I'll get behind it and I can mark where the holes are and then drill the holes. All right, so here it is. I have one hole drilled here in cleat code. I have another hole drilled here in cleat code. So now it's in place. It's right where I want it. I'll just go through now with a drill bit and drill out the rest of these holes from behind. All right, this piece is done and drilled and cleat code on. And you can see from the top to the bottom here, it just perfectly follows along to where the skin will be. You see that twist that it has? You'll kind of need to do that if you want it to follow the skin perfectly. All right, so looking at the other ends of the wings, this right wing, I need to finish doing the wing tips. I've kind of roughly cut out the back part. I haven't even started on the forward part yet. On the left wing, it was done. This piece here is done. It's riveted on. It looks pretty good. All the wings have a little gap back here, but it's done. It's on. This front piece, I just took it off yesterday, but it's drilled and it was installed. But I think I'm going to replace it because when I put this on, I was working by myself and I couldn't really hold the tip forward while I was drilling it. I just needed another set of hands. So I tried to do it myself and I wound up with I would say a fairly large gap here. I could almost put my finger in the gap between the skin and then where the wingtip starts. It's hard to get these on without any kind of gap. It's not impossible, but I think I'm going to replace this and try it again with an extra set of hands so I can get a better fit. So luckily last year or so when I was working on the wings, I never did this one, so I can get 2 people and help me with this one and hopefully get a nice, as close to perfect fit as I can. In this wing here, I still need to run wire like this through the wing because that wire is for the navs and strobes. And since I have in this leading edge light here, I'll need another wire for that. And I will tell you guys one thing about this, because some of you guys are asking me when I'm going to finish this up. I wish I never started this. I wish I never cut this out of the wing. It'd be nice to have, but my neighbor is building a Velocity, and he found these LED lights that are about 1 inch in diameter. So they're just little circles. They're super bright. And if I would have just got something like that, I could have mounted it in the nose of the cowl or just the opening where the oil cooler goes, and I would have never had to mess with this wing cutting this out. So I'm kind of committed now, but like I said, now that these wings are moved over here to the work area, I'll work on getting all that finished up. Now for the fuselage, there's not too much new to show you here. I did kind of finish up some details on the back here. I've made these, or not made, but you know, fit and drilled these rudder stops. So the rudder, I forget what the 30, was it 20 degrees or 30 degrees or something like that it's supposed to travel, I don't remember. I made a cardboard template just like they show on the home build help videos and made that. So once this was done, I riveted this piece on. And these are not riveted yet because what I'm thinking about doing is, you know, every time this rudder hits, it's going to chip the paint on here. So I'm thinking about removing these, painting the airplane, and then polishing these up so they almost look like they're chrome, and then just riveting them on that way. That way there's no paint on them, so every time this hits it, it won't chip the paint. And as far as this horn here, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Paint it, or maybe drill out these rivets and then polish this too so the paint on here doesn't chip. I kind of haven't figured that out yet, but anyway, at least that back part is done. I would really like to get this area done. So I need to run the rudder cable out of here and then fit the fairings and stuff like that. But again, it's a 2-person job. So I'll wait till I get some help and I can finish that up. I've been working on the windshield. So the windshield is cut and fit. The top window is clecoed on. I'm still working on this, like a lot of things on Zenith, it seems like I have to redesign them myself because it just doesn't fit at all how it's supplied with the kit. But the metal piece that goes up here, it just doesn't fit. When it comes down here, the flat piece that comes out here, if I were to drill the holes in it, they'd be off the spar. So I've kind of redesigned that, but I don't have it installed right now, so I'll show you that later. But fitting the window, you know, you trim the top, you trim this out here, you trim the back, and I'm using these Z pieces here so the door will close and fit inside here, and then I'll probably have another little latch halfway up here to keep it closed in flight. You guys have seen the interior. There's nothing new here. I made a video on the whole interior before, so there's nothing new to show you there. Moving along the front, if you've been following on the zenithowner.com website or forums or my builder's log, you would have seen that I've made a fairing for the bottom of the window. So this is all fiberglass here. I just drilled the holes for where the screws will go. I'm going to use flush mounted screws. And I think they're called undercut screws. So they're flush mounted screws, but they're made for thin material. So this is about 1/16 of an inch thick. So the screws will fit perfect in there. I'm going to wait until the doors are, or I start working on the doors before I trim the back of this off right here. You can see I cut it long. I'm just not sure exactly where to trim it because I'm not sure exactly how the door fits in that area. So there was nothing wrong with the rubber trim that Zenith provides for the bottom of the the windshield. But I just thought it would be really fun and different and nice to make a fiberglass fairing for it. And it turned out just really, really nice. It might not look like it, but it's super smooth. By the way, I wanted to tell you guys too that I have started and run this engine. And I did it a couple months ago, and I was going to make a video on it, and I filmed it. And when I filmed it, there were two problems. One is I forgot to turn the audio on, so there was no audio with it. But I did have video footage of the engine running, and I uploaded that footage from the memory card and the camera to the computer. And then I thought, since I uploaded that footage, I deleted the footage from the memory card. But what happened is, when you upload from the memory card directly into the computer, it doesn't actually save it in the computer, it just takes it from the memory card. So after I deleted the memory card, it was no longer in the computer, and so I no longer have any footage of the engine running. But I do want to start it again, because there were a couple settings in the dynon for the RPM that I had to change. So I changed those, and I would like to get it started and running again, just to make sure everything that I made changes to actually works. All right, I'm going to show you one last thing, because this is the other part I've been working on. You guys have seen this fairing before. This is obviously for the tail, and although it looks like a mess right now, I've been this is actually perfectly smooth, and I've been filling it with this stuff called icing, and it's a two-part mixture stuff. It goes on, I don't know, it's kind of the thickness of toothpaste, or maybe icing on a cake or frosting on a cake, but you spread it on fairly thick, and then you sand it off, and it fills all the high and low spots. Mine is not perfect yet, because when I do run my hand over some areas, I can feel a little bit of waviness. So I think, like this part right here, I need to sand down a little bit more. So I think there's a little bit more sanding to do. And then, as you can see, I've spread it on here, but I haven't started sanding this off yet. You can see how rough it is. But when you mix this stuff up, you only have about 3 minutes to work, and then it cures, which I guess is kind of good, because you don't have to wait all day for it to cure. But you got to kind of get it on and spread out how you want it within a few minutes, or you're done. That's all you got.